welcome back to Front Row Cinema, a movie podcast for movie lovers, by movie lovers. I am your host, Peter Trimboli, and we are riding solo today for our inaugural look into modern movies. That's right, we don't have the lovely color commentator by our side today, but I will do my best to fill both roles as we start to look at some more newer movies that are in the zeitgeist right now and just see how well we're doing, take a look at the modern day box office, and our thoughts on some newer movies coming out today. Hopefully sometimes Jim will be able to join us, but for right now, we're just riding solo. And today we're going to be looking at the newest Marvel film to hit the street, Thunderbolts, more aptly now titled The New Avengers, and start of the summer movie season. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here as we dive into the hype surrounding the film, its box office analysis, and everything in between. Thunderbolts is the 36th film in the MCU, directed by Jake Schreier, written by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow, and starring an ensemble cast of Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, and many more. We got a lovely little logline here, and it reads, "A group of antiheroes are caught in a deadly trap and forced to work together on a dangerous mission." Short, sweet, and to the point. You gotta love when it can be like that, right? It just came out this previous week. I did go see it over the weekend. I saw it Friday night with my wife in a packed out house. I love to try and go to these new movies, their opening weekend, and try to go to one of the more popular shows because as I've gotten older, while yes, I do like quiet and I do like watching the movie without anybody annoying me, for new movies, and especially the writer inside of me who likes to see what is popular with people these days, I like being in big audiences to hear what works in the movie, because what joke works for you when you're watching it by yourself might not be the case when you're in there with a large auditorium of people. So being in a packed house, seeing what jokes landed for people, and just seeing the overall vibe of the opening day crowd is a huge part of my movie going experience right now. So that was a lot of fun to go and see for Thunderbolts. And it makes part of the experience, being there, being lively. It is a communal experience. You want to experience these things with other people. That's the joy of going to the movies. So this was a fun weekend for Thunderbolts. We had a packed house, a lot of good stuff. People were enjoying the movie. So boots on the ground, whatever anyone wants to say on the internet, whether the movie's good or bad, in the theater, in with the packed crowd, this movie was hitting hard for people. And it was quite a way to kick off the summer movie season. It absolutely, it's on its way to being a solid little winner here for Marvel. Now, obviously, it's not going to hit to the levels of like the higher Marvel movies. Some of these movies have just absolutely insane opening weekends, and this movie was never going to quite hit the highs of anything, but I don't think it quite hit any of the lows of anything either. I think as long as this movie can sustain itself over the next couple of weeks and keep earning some money and have a good second week drop, I think we're on the road to some profitability here, definitely being a better win in its belt than Captain America Brave New World was, and is definitely a move in the right direction for them. The budget was $180 million for this movie. Pretty on the high side still for these movies. It's crazy that for a movie that doesn't really have any big A-list star in it, and is basically riding off of just like the brand name of them, that they would go with such an insanely high budget. Like, that's crazy. 180 definitely on the high side for this. The opening weekend was 76 million opening for domestic, 86.1 international for a worldwide opening weekend of 162.1. So pretty solid opening weekend. We're almost about to recoup our budget here just off of that opening weekend alone. So as long as we have a solid second week drop and people keep seeing this over the next couple of weeks through May, it's going to make itself a nice little chunk of change here. Like, it's definitely going to end up being in a win category here for Thunderbolts. It's the 28th domestic opening in the MCU out of all those opening weekends. So definitely, out of 36 movies, 28, it's not at the bottom. It's not, like upper and the higher ones that you want to be, but this might be a single for them, maybe a double, depending on how it goes over the next couple of weeks. Over the weekend, 88% from the critics, 94% from the audience. So this was a pretty high watershed movie for Rotten Tomatoes. At least reception-wise, people are digging on this, and I can attest to it. Boots on the ground in that theater opening weekend, people were responding, so it does not surprise me, these ratings right here. A 7.7 IMDb and the A- cinema score. That is just what we want. Now on to my thoughts on the movie. What did I think of this movie? And overall, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I am not the biggest superhero movie. We hear this talked about a lot when we go on the pod, when we're going into these movies. Superhero movies are never really always my favorite. There are a few, obviously, that break the zeitgeist and break that mold and sit there at the top of the heap for me as movies that I really do enjoy, but they've never been my genre that I go to. Now, having said that, I still think most of these movies are fun and a good time, and they're good turn your brain off stuff. But I always do like when superhero movies can come along and surprise you and give a bit of, not only they don't necessarily need to have a message, but have something to say, really, is what I mean. Is that they have a topic that they want to use the superhero genre to tell, and that's what they're going to do. And some of the best Marvel movies have always done that. The Captain America movies were always good, when they really wanted to talk about their political espionage and just like the type of person that you're going to be in Captain America in regards to the world around you. Those were really always very interesting to me. And this one has something like that. This movie, I was not expecting this movie when it started to really go so hard into depression and grief and that like feeling of being abandoned and lost and adrift and just like succumbing to that void within you. If there's like the biggest pro that I can level at this movie is that its themes are so like grand and work well within this movie and have something actually poignant to say about not only how to deal with grief but how to overcome it, and that overcoming it at the end isn't necessarily like banishing it and just getting rid of it, but it's learning to live with it and find days that will make it easier with people around you. Like this movie is such an interesting concept to explore community and why it's so important for us to be these societal creatures that interact with each other, and that no matter if you're an outcast or a jock or popular or goth or whatever it is, to find your community, and those depressive days, those dark days, that load will be lightened by the people around you to help lift you up. That is an important message. That is a universal message. And I think it's done to great effect in this movie, and that it really surprised me, and I found myself really enjoying this movie because of that. The visual representation of that too at the end in Sentry's powers and the dark side of him is the void is really cool. And I think the visual representation in this movie of like bringing that out and showing that is really awesome. And they have such a good gut punch way of doing that by them saving the little girl at one point, just for her to immediately get taken into the void. And that just like really awesome way of how they just like, they don't really disappear into like a cloud of smoke or dust or anything, but to just like become a shadow, because the void is being a shadow of yourself, is just fantastic right there. Like visually very creative, very great, and a lot of fun. I absolutely like the I can't rave enough about the theme of this movie. Movie's also really funny. And I mean, it's not, a lot of the times that can be very hit or miss with Marvel. They tend to really always have to be like very quippy and make everybody quippy. But I really enjoyed that this movie didn't do that. And really the only person that was really quippy is Red Guardian and the ridiculous stuff that he said. Like Wyatt Russell's US agent isn't quippy and funny. He's an asshole. Ghost is just kind of like matter of fact. Like Yelena is probably the closest one, but it's not that she's setting out to be quippy and funny. She's just like dry and sarcastic and very spunky. And the way that she delivers lines and like just the kind of attitude she has is what makes a lot of her stuff land and be very funny. So I like that it wasn't just be like the quick Marvel quips. So that was really good, and that did a lot for me too. So a lot of fun there. Also, Lewis Pullman as Bob. It's hilarious that everybody always wants to bitch and moan about Nepo babies, but like a lot of the Nepo baby actors these days are like really solid. Wyatt Russell is good in this. Lewis Pullman is good. There's so many other, Nepo babies working right now that are like Jack Quaid, Margaret Qualley. Like there's so many, like they're just solid actors, and I see them having a good career and a career that I'd like to follow and see them in more movies in. So, you know, kind of a pro in the Nepo baby favor here. Like they still got talent. I'm just saying. Uh, Now on to the stuff that didn't really work for me so much. Obviously, this is more of a nitpick. It's not really something that ruins or really like changes my score in the movie, but it's just something that movie feels a little late to the party. Again, the MCU here doesn't really do enough to make this feel fresh again. And what I mean by that is this really just is kind of like a knockoff Suicide Squad, and also just kind of a knockoff Guardians too. Like they've already done this movie of like taking a bunch of plucky ne'er do wells and putting them together and finding out that like family is a team. Like we kind of did this already. Like granted, we're taking a new interesting route with it in the theme, which helps it get over it. But as far as like what Marvel could be doing to keep themselves fresh and reinvigorate people, that felt a little derivative. Um, the ending also is a little jarring for me. Like I don't know how much I enjoy the fact that they then have to shoo them into being the new Avengers, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus kind of tricks them then into being like into this quick news report and making them kind of just like have to accept what's going on. Like that felt all abrupt and jarring, and I think that's more just the fact that it had to like wrap up very quickly and move on to the next thing, and there's really no spot to breathe and adjust to it. That it just kind of feels raw for me. Like I wasn't a big fan of that. Bucky kind of has fuck all to do in this movie too. Like he really doesn't do much, and I really think they undercook him consistently between Brave New World and this, where suddenly in Brave New World he's running to be a congressman or a senator, and then in this movie he is it, and we don't really see him do any legislative or try to even do anything. Within 5 minutes, he's just kind of like, I'm gonna be the Winter Soldier and like fight people with these guys again. It's kind of all over the place with him. And then last but not least, they do Taskmaster kind of dirty. I feel like in this movie, it feels like underservice because she was literally just put there to give the impression that when we kill her, that anybody can be killed. But I never for a second, based on any of the trailers or anything building up, that I really worried for anyone else in this movie. It felt kind of like a foregone conclusion that everyone was like, Taskmaster's only going to be the one to die, and then everyone else is going to be fine. Also didn't help that then you guys announced your entire cast of the new Avengers movie and all of them were in it also. So you kind of like buried the lead in that one there. It almost feels like it would have been better to just leave her out of it entirely, and not, have them kill anybody and they just overcome together as a team, or keep her in and don't kill her and then she also joins the team and like overcoming her grief. Like I don't know, it just really didn't feel like it added anything or did anything by them just murking her, other than making it be like a quick like, oh hey, anybody can die now. But overall, those in no way diminish all of the good that this movie does. That the theme resonates and follows and outweighs so much in this that I just really enjoy it. And it was just a lot of fun. And it's a good start to the summer. Definitely something back on track. It has me, at least more excited for Fantastic Four now. So it did what it needed to do. Overall, I'm going to give this bad boy 4 stars. It worked for me in the moment, in the theater with the people, having a lot of fun, had a really good theme. I love the ending, how the visual representation was literally just for them instead of having to fight a big bag. It was just that them having to come together and like hold each other and realize that as long as we have each other, there's nothing we can't overcome. Great. Love that. Absolutely a fan of that. 4 stars for this movie. I am just, yeah, had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun with this. It's a good return to form for MCU. Just turn your brain off and enjoy. I like that a lot. And it was a good. Like I said, it's a good start to the summer, and we have got a big summer ahead of us. Like we got a lot of big heavy hitters coming out, a lot of movies that might get lost in the shuffle. It's going to be a very interesting summer, and a summer that we absolutely need to hit hard. And given what we got coming out, I want to give some predictions now that we can follow along as we go through some of these modern movies and see what shakes up by the end of the summer. So I'm going to give you what I think are going to be the top 10 domestic grossing summer movies through the summer. Some notable mentions before we begin: movies that didn't quite make the cut, that might make the cut, and I might be completely wrong because there's a lot of dark horses this year. But movies like Final Destination Bloodlines, Ballerina, The Materialists, 28 Years Later, Megan 2.0, Smurfs, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Naked Gun, Freakier Friday, and Nobody 2. Did not put any of these movies on the list. There's a couple maybe that I think could sneak in there. Like I think, Final Destination maybe has a chance. 28 Years Later maybe have a chance, depending on how like fervent everybody is for that this many years later. Megan 2.0, I mean, the original did only 90 million, I think, domestically, so I don't really think that one's going to make it, but who knows? It's possible. Smurfs maybe has a chance. I don't really know if anyone really cares anymore, but those like first live action shitty ones they made in the 2010s did some money. Same goes for Bloodlines, goes for I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, it could. It's a dark horse, but, the Scream reboot was big. Like, maybe this one might be also. Naked Gun, Freakier Friday, and Nobody 2, I'm fairly confident aren't going to make this list. So I think we're all right in that one. But this is what I have for my top 10. At number 10, we have Elio. At number 9, I'm going F1. In the 8th spot, I'm going Bad Guys 2. Number 7, I'm going this movie, Thunderbolts. Number 6, I'm going How to Train Your Dragon. Number 5, I'm going Superman. Number 4, Fantastic Four. Number 3, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Number 2, Jurassic World Rebirth. And number 1, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm calling it now, safest bet to make, is going to be Lilo and Stitch. Mark my words, this is going to be the movie of the summer, bar none. And those are my predictions. So we'll keep following along as we go through, and we'll see how we do on these. And I hope to do these. I don't know if I'm going to get it for every single new movie that comes out, but I will definitely try and get these out for every big movie that's coming out. Hopefully Jim will join me at sometimes, but if not, we'll make these shorter little episodes here where we dive into some newer movies, take a look at some of the good new stuff that's coming out. As always, go out, form your own opinions for yourself. Go check these movies out yourself. Go check out Thunderbolts if you will. This weekend we don't have a big movie. We get Shadow Force coming out. That's going to do absolutely fuck all. But I will go see it. Probably won't do a review on it because it doesn't look like it's going to be that great or really have any dent in the box office that's worth talking about. But who knows? Maybe we'll see how it goes. But go out, check out these movies yourself. And as always, I'll see you at the movies.